Okay.
All right. First of all, welcome everyone to the initial session one in the AI Associate Developer Series. Today, Naveen, myself, and Devi will be presenting and about some basics of how you need to get started with RPA and what makes it a little different. I know these are pretty much covered topics for you, but it would be a nice refresher just to give some hands-on or some expertise that you can become more indulged with these topics. So Diana, as you know, she's our community leader and community marketing manager for Americas. And she has been the person behind every session that we are conducting in North America region. So thanks for doing that, Anna. And myself, Naveen Chatlapalli. I'm a solution architect from Ashton Partners, and I hold two times MVP title from 2024 to 2025. And I also co-lead Dallas chapter with Karthik and a couple of other folks. Devi, would you introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, myself, Devi Kandasamy, and I'm working as a technical lead with Cubotica, and I'm a two-time MVP, and I'm working with Southern California chapter.
Awesome. Thank you, Devi. As I mentioned, this is going to be our agenda today. We are going to quickly go on a high level of what are variables, constants, and arguments, and what is the purpose of using them. And you'll see some data manipulation with strings in Studio and why it is important to understand. And you'll also see how do you do the data manipulation after you get the information into a data table. That means you're reading into a spreadsheet or you are creating information in a table format that can be in a data table, stored in a data table. And how do you manipulate the data inside? So you'll be knowing that. And now Devi will cover debugging in Studio and error and exception handling and the next remaining things. All right, but before we jump into the topics, I quickly wanted to touch base on introduction to automation. So generally, everyone wants to save two things in their work life. Okay, so one can be time and other can be the effort. Okay, so what is the software that solves both of the things like time and effort? It can be automation. Automation is nothing but you perform the repetitive tasks which are unwanted to enhance your which are unwanted tasks, and to enhance the performance you remove them from your routine operations, and you try to automate them. So removing the repetitive task and providing more and better enhanced performance is called as automation. And freeing human resources. So humans are always worrying about the time that they're spending and the effort that they're putting to become more productive, right? So automation will definitely make anyone to become more, relieving their resources and better utilizing their time, and also becoming more productive at work. So that is what the main agenda or main task behind automation is. Where is automation used? You can see anywhere. It touches from any point to any point. If you go to work and if you are trying to see a calendar notification that is popping up from your manager, so that means your manager has scheduled a trigger for your calendar invite to show up every day for your daily meetings or something, which is an in the background automation task, which is taking like a scheduler and running every day at certain point of time to remind you that there is a meeting that is going to show up and you have to attend that. So that kind of thing is automated. And not only that, like it can be used in mechanical production, assembly line production, you name it. Like every sector and every field is utilizing this automation features and functionalities. It is also integral to business and IT sector to make the people and to make the workforce more effective and more productive and make the resources more profitable. And also that means if you save time, right? Like it's a human spends a certain amount of time, and if the task can be automated within couple of seconds or couple of minutes, that means you are all saving that time, which can be leveraged in other tasks. Human can spend their time and efforts in much more effective and much more useful tasks, which is a big game changer for anyone, which is so much important. So that is what automation is achieving here. Examples of automation. So in a normal regular work, in a hardware or mechanical production work, you can see the bottle filling stations or automation, that is like whenever you drink some soft drink or something, so that doesn't automatically come right away. Like humans doesn't fill all the water, all the sodas and all the ingredients into it, and doesn't do it. It is a mechanical operation that goes automated. That means everything that has been pre-planned, pre-automated, and pre-designed will fill the required ingredients into that bottling factory and will get you the outside, gets you the final product, that is a bottled water or bottled soda or bottled something, right? So that is some examples of automated filling stations that you can use. And coming to software side, it can be anything. Like it can be employee onboarding, or it can be automated order entry, or it can be invoice processing, or it can be customer service chatbots. And I'm not talking about AI. AI is completely a revolutionary thing that we are seeing and which is impacting everyone's life. But automation is there from the beginning. Okay, we have been automating many stuff where we are adding on the top of it so many layers. Let it be machine learning, let it be generative AI, let it be some many advanced deep learning or many advanced things. So in that way, we can use automation much more efficiently by adding all these top of layers, which can be some ingredients which will make our lives better and much more productive, and bring the businesses back to scale their operations enormously and save enough amount of resources. And also benefits of automation. So everyone thinks that automation is time saving, and it is it's saving a lot of efforts. But when it comes to a business point of view, it decreases the operational cost. Like let's say an example of a bottling factory of a Coca-Cola or something. It when a certain number of humans are there previously to do all the tasks manually, and if you are replacing that with a manual production chain, so you are decreasing the efforts of humans. Like you are reducing the operational costs where you don't need to pay for all those humans also. That doesn't mean the humans are going jobless, but they are becoming more productive and doing some more additional tasks which are really required some human intervention, and decreases the average handling time. Previously, let's say I'll take an example of car manufacturing, right? There are certain times where cars used to be manufactured, which each and every part that humans used to collaborate and fix them to all the parts to become one big car. Instead of that, an automation has come into picture nowadays, and most of the things that humans cannot do, it is able to do within couple of minutes or couple of hours, and it is decreasing the average handle time. So humans need rest, but machines and automations doesn't need rest, right? So in that way, it is also decreasing the average handle time of any operation, and assisting worker safety. There are certain points where humans cannot go, like it can be some electrical manufacturing or some things that are very dangerous for humans to tackle. So at that time, if robots or if you put some automations in place, it will also increase the assistance worker safety there, where you can provide more and more human safety aspects, and you can deploy bots and automations there. And of course, improving productivity is the main goal there. Whatever that I explained here, it is all implemented in a business hardware factory, right? And the same can be implemented for a software. Like if you take an invoice automation, the invoice automation, if a person needs to take some 4 to 5 hours of time, it decreases the time to operational cost rather than freeing up the human's time. If you put an automated invoice processing automation in that place, it completes within given minutes or given seconds and decreases the average handling time. Previously, if the humans are taking around certain amount of time, it also decreases the average handling time if there is an automation for invoice processing. And worker safety doesn't come here in the software picture because there is no harm or any such sort of thing. So improves productivity is one of the biggest factor here. That means, let's say if the human is doing the routine and mundane tasks every time, so it can reduce the efficiency by, they can commit some mistakes or they can do some errors if they keep looking at the same type of documents or something. So in that way, but if you replace them with a automation or some RPA bots, it can improve the productivity of a human, because less the robots and the automations are less prone to make some less mistakes than the humans. So you have to vary between those things. So in that way, you can also discuss about improving the productivity of humans as well. All right. What is RPA in this case? We have all discussed so far about automation, but what is RPA? You might already know, or you have already covered these topics, but I'm just giving a refresher for you to get this infused much more into your brains. So robotic process automation is the key term coined uh, in 2018 or 2016 time. So it is nothing but a software program to mimic a human action while interacting with computer applications. Okay. Any software program that is created to mimic the human tasks is called as robotic process automation. And what is it important for? Okay, it is going to sit in your computers and it is going to mimic the same operations. If you are trying to, let's say, open an SAP application, okay, what you do, you open your Windows system or in any system, and you click on the Windows icon and type SAP and open that, or double click on that icon to open that SAP and enter your user credentials, right? These are all the step by step actions that I'm just mentioning to you. In the same way, if you are trying the same things to operate, or to be operated with a robot, which with like a RPA bot, then that is called as robotic process automation. And you are implementing that to run unattended or in an attended fashion. So that is called as RPA. And the key features here are, it is easy to implement. Anyone who doesn't have enough software coding knowledge can also come here and implement this RPA automations. And it is very powerful to scale based on the architectures that we provide inside and the flexibility of scaling it to enormous. Like once you develop an automation, you can put the same automation in the other person's computer or in multiple other team members' computers, which runs in the same way, but it has to have the same playground that the same the person A had, right? And it works 24 by 7 without making errors. That means you have to monitor how confidently you're able to deploy these in the instances in the computers of the people, where you need to first evaluate the results, like how confidently it is running and how error prone it is running. And so in that way you can you can deploy this in production in multiple other machines as well, as we discussed previously. And it works 24 by 7. It doesn't need any rest, but you need to keep monitoring these, like how these are performing, and is there any human interaction that has been involved, and all those type of things that you need to take care of. And it creates a digital robotic workforce. That means when we are calling one RPA automation as one RPA bot, let's say if there are multiple RPA automations which are performing multiple other tasks. One is talking and communicating with SAP, and other is doing an invoice processing, and one more RPA bot is doing some vendor onboarding or some other type of task. When you combine all these RPA bots, right, it becomes your digital workforce. That means let's say you are traveling somewhere or you are doing somewhere, but you have implemented an email trigger on your laptop or on your machine, where you wanted up to an RPA bot to trigger based on the email operations to perform certain tasks. That means you can run your digital workforce from anywhere in the world. So it is possible that you have to understand these type of nuances to how better utilize these digital workforces to leverage your time and improve your productivity and increase your efficiency. And it also reads and processes in the data in a structured form. So as I'm mentioning these steps, right? When you open an SAP, what you do, you double click on the SAP icon and a screen pops up. You maximize that screen and you enter your username and password credentials and you click on the sign in button. So these are the step-by-step actions that I just mentioned to you. In the same way, the RPA program reads the data and performs the data in a structured way. That processes the data in a structured way. When you throw some unwanted things, when you ask it to implement suddenly, hey, there will be a pop-up coming up, so you have to handle it immediately. It doesn't understand. So what are we trying to implement that with the layer of some generative AI? Today, in these days, we are able to solve that. But don't worry about that. This is only a basic chapter of what we are trying to do with RPA. So RPA better understands the read and reads the data and processes the data in a structured form. But if you are asking it to handle any unwanted or some unknown exceptions that might come up, you have to code that ahead of time. You have to understand that there is going to be a pop-up coming up, so you have to handle that in this way. So you have to code that inside your automation so that it can easily handle it. And it operates different applications, not only SAP. It can operate Salesforce, it can operate Outlook, it can operate anything like whatever the software that is available. Whether either it can be operating it through the user interactions, or it can be operating it through API interactions or webhooks or any such sort of things. Okay, enables a software program to mimic human actions. So it is again, it is a software program which is built and deployed in a computer system which mimics the human operations. That is what the main goal and main operation of an RPA bot is. Okay. All right. What are the basic or main core components of UiPath platform? Okay. UiPath has a bigger ecosystem. It has many products, but for now we are only discussing about three main components here. One is going to be Studio, where you design the automation workflows visually with minimal use of code. And the second one is UiPath Orchestrator, where you control and manage all the robots which you have deployed to Orchestrator. And third one is robots. So from the orchestrator, you are going to execute any RPA processes running in the production machines. So these are the three core components. So Studio is the place, let's say Studio is your playground. Okay, Studio is your playground where you develop and design the automations. You can follow any type of drag and drop activities that are available inside the Studio playground, and you can visually understand, okay, this is the automation, this is the step-by-step operation that I need to perform, and this is how my automation should impact my work. So this is how you will be designing it in the Studio. Coming to orchestrator, right? Okay, that is fine. You have developed everything, but where you have to deploy, okay, there is a middleware which is called as orchestrator, where you will deploy your automations, you will deploy your RPA bots into orchestrator, where you can handle it. It is the middleware where you will control, manage, and monitor all the robots that you have deployed into various things. It can be folders, it can be jobs, it can be queues, it can be many things. Okay, this is the central. Think that this is the central warehouse or the main system which operates, which targets the which portion has to, which automation has to be running in which machine. Okay, see, this is as the middleware which targets the Studio as well as the robots. And coming to the robots, okay, you already have developed a RPA bot in Studio and you have deployed in Orchestrator, but where you have to run that? You have to run that in a machine which is connected to your orchestrator, and that machine, that process that runs in a software machine is called as an UiPath robot. Okay, it enables to run the processes which are developed in the Studio. So deploy and execute, that is being handled by this orchestrator, and Studio, orchestrator, and robot are the three main components which everyone has to understand. All right. Now jumping into the main basics of what you need to understand while you are developing an RPA automation, right? So these are the three things that you need to understand mainly: variables, constants, and arguments. Variables are nothing but a data type, like how you are trying to store your data, in what type you are trying to store your data. And constants are something which doesn't change, that you wanted to remember certain things which are very constant, doesn't change within your automation. Like let's say you want to start your automation, or you want to give some target date for your automation which is constant, right? So you will hard code that value inside that constant, and which doesn't change ever. Or it want to hit the date, so your automation will start running until targeting that date or something like that. And arguments are something that will be passed and inside and outside your automation workflow to perform some operations. Any data that you want to get outside of your automation workflow or pass inside of your automation workflow, you will use these arguments. And as I told you, right, there are various types of variables which will store multiple types of data. It can be a boolean, it can be a string, it can be integer, it can be an object, it can be a data table, it can be an array of anything, array of objects, and browser for types. And basically, I have given you an example of how you set your variable. This is a screenshot that I have taken from. Oh, sorry. This is a screenshot I've taken from Studio Web. So if you are trying to set a variable, right? So you will pass your variable. This is the naming convention that we recommend you to use. Put your data type head like as a prefix, and underscore your variable name. What is that variable doing? And scope is something that there are multiple blocks inside your automation. There is one main block of code, and there will be some sequences, flowcharts, or other sequences, something like that, right? So you will name each and every block. So you have to identify, when you are setting a variable, what should be the scope of it. Are you trying to implement only within that block of piece of code, within that sequence, or within that flowchart, or is it applicable for whole automation? So you have to take care like you have to very particularly look into this, because this will definitely help you when you're trying to debug, or when you're trying to get the data outside a workflow, like an argument or something. So it is very important for you to know that. And type can be integer, like string or something. So you can click on this drop down, and all these variable types that I'm showing here will be appearing here. Okay. And if you want to give a default value, like if you want to put a constant value for this, you can definitely go ahead and put a constant default value. Okay. Coming to arguments, right? As I told you, arguments are some data variables which will be used for you to handle the information that you are sending inside your automation and getting outside your automation. Or it can be both. It can be in and out also. So in the global sense, it resembles a variable, but variables are only used inside an automation. You cannot get them outside, or you cannot pass them inside an automation. An argument is something which you can handle within a workflow, that you want to get an output variable, an output value outside of your automation. Then you will be using an output argument. If you want to pass some values inside your automation, then you will be using an input argument. So there are that is the type of arguments here. In argument, that means that can be only used within a given project. An out argument can be used to pass the data outside the given project. and in and out are something that can handle both. That means you are sending a value inside it, and you are trying to do some manipulation to the data, and you are trying to update the same value, and you are going to get it outside, right? Then you have to use in and out argument types. So in the same way, I have given a screenshot where it is recommended for you to use in as the prefix underscore the argument name, and direction is inside in obviously, and object type can be object or anything, string or data table or integer or anything, and default value can be anything that you want to pass. If nothing has been given in this in argument value, then this default value will be passing inside with this one. Okay. Uh, and also the same thing goes for out argument. You have to give out underscore argument, and direction will be out. And it goes for the same for in and out. In and out will be IO underscore argument, and the direction will be in slash out. This is how you will give it. Okay. And then we will go to data manipulation with strings in Studio. These are very important because there are certain times that you need to clean the data that you are trying to handle. There will be some unwanted characters, there will be some unwanted information that you wanted to cut short, and you wanted to clean the data that you are getting, right? So in that way, any way, any type, it can be string, it can be integer, or it can be anything. But currently we are discussing data manipulation with strings. Okay. So these are the three important ones which I mean, as developers, we generally regularly use: substrings, trim, and replace. So substring means, let's say I have a value. Okay, I have a variable of 00, some zeros appended to a value of 1, 2, 3, 4. But I only want the values 1, 2, 3, 4 to be printed in as my output. Okay. I want to remove all the values of the additional unwanted 00 characters. Like any account, like take a banking account number, right? Let's say if it is a banking account number which has to be like 15 characters or 16 characters, the first initial there will be all zeros, and the remaining portion will be occupied with the numbers. But your automation doesn't need those additional the initial zeros, so you have to remove them, and you have to only consider the actual numerical part. Then what you will be using is, you will be using a substring operation using this index of 1. That means wherever the value starts with the actual the one value, you give me the values from that. So it will automatically replace or remove all the zeros, additional unwanted zeros, and it will give you this the actual string of characters. That's what is substring. That's what the substring is. And in the same way, trim means there can be some additional spaces, or there can be some unwanted spaces that will be occupied, captured in some spreadsheets while you're reading something. Like let's say you're, I'll give you a real world example. Okay, there is a human who mistakenly have entered some spaces while he's inputting some information in a cell value or something. Okay, you don't know that there is a space inside that cell value, but when you read that entire spreadsheet into a data table, and we are trying to operate on that, like get this is the value of a serial number which operates from this one, and you have to pass it to another value, you doesn't identify that there is a space like in the starting or at the end. So for that reason, there is an operation in the string operation called as trim. That means it removes the unwanted spaces. That if there is a space that can be automatically removed, and it captures only the remaining required word, required string character. And also there are two more other operations in trim: trim start and trim end, that you only wanted to trim at the start. There are any special characters or spaces in the starting, you will trim them. If you are using trim end, if there are any spaces at the end of the string variable, then you will trim only that portion of it. So this is how you will be leveraging the trim operation within the string manipulation. Okay. And coming to replace value, this is also one of the most important things we keep using inside our automations. So let's say I told you, right, a specific banking account number which has 50 characters, but with all the zeros. Okay. Now I want the zeros to be replaced with some values. Then I can use this replace string operation, which will replace my zeros to some other special characters. So whatever that I wanted to replace it with, I can replace it. So these are all the screenshots that I have taken from Studio Web again. And this is the VB expression editor where you can implement your string manipulation operations and you can handle it from there. Okay. All right. Data manipulation with data tables in Studio. Why this is so important is mostly the I like 70 to 80% of the time in an RPA, either we read information from a spreadsheet and start manipulating it from there and start converting the data or start using each row by row and all these things, which is very crucial. So that is the reason we have implemented, we want you to touch base on this data manipulation with data tables. Okay. So why is this so crucial? As I told you, right? Mostly the automation data is better when you are handling multiple rows of data. So that multiple rows of data will be sitting in a spreadsheet or in some data table format or anything. So you convert or you read that spreadsheet format into a data table and you perform these data manipulation operations. So most importantly, there are three types. One is join DT, sort DT, and merge DT. Previously, when you are trying to implement this, you have to code this within VB code, VB.NET or some C#.NET code to do this join and sort and merge duty. But now as UiPath has been become more and more effective, so they have implemented activities for these as well. That means you don't need to write a individual piece of code where you can directly implement this join DT and sort DT, sorting and matching functionality directly from here. So if you want to join a data table, so all you need to do is, let's say there are two spreadsheets that you are getting from your account team or some team, okay? And you want to make them as one data table and you want to give it outside as one Excel spreadsheet. So what you will do is, you will read this data table from first spreadsheet and you will read the data table from the second spreadsheet and you will join them using this particular activity. So you will first provide your DT underscore data table name and DT underscore data table 2. And inner join is like the SQL operation that you will be performing. Like you will be joining all the all the columns from the table 1 to table 2. So that is what inner join is. And if you want to provide any join rules based on the filters that you wanted to provide, you can go ahead and provide that. So it became very easy and it is a lot of time saving for the developers as well if you use these kind of activities. And coming to sorting, right? You might be asked by your business team saying that, hey, I have received some information from our customers team and I have put all that information into a spreadsheet. Now the customers are entered based on their date of birth, and now I want you to sort all the date of births based on in an ascending order. Okay, your business team might be asking that. So instead of you writing a hard-coded VB.NET code or something, you can just use this activity and you can ask the order to be ascending and you will just pass on the data table value. So you will read that information of the spreadsheet that you have received from your business team, which consists all the date of birth and the customer details and everything. But you only want to target that one column, that is date of birth. So you will enter that column name here, that is date of birth, and you will, in the additional properties, you will click ascending or descending. Ascending means small to big and descending means big to small. Okay? So in the same way, it will be sorted out, and the sorted out data table will be getting you as an output. So that easy it is. All right, and coming to merge data table, if you don't want to perform any join types, whether it be inner join, outer join, or left join or right join, you can just use the merge data table operation. That means there is a pre-existing data table operation that has same set of columns, okay? But you just wanted to join those information, like you want to merge the data. There is only 1 to 10 rows, but in the other data table, you have 10 to 20 rows. If you want to join those two data tables, you will use this operation. Here, join data tables means it will also join the columns, but it will not join. Merge data table means it will not join the columns, but it will only join the additional rows that it is seeing. So that is the main difference here. And again, instead of writing any VB.NET code, you can directly implement this activity and save a lot of time. So these are the three important data manipulations activities that you'll be performing in data tables. All right, I will be handing it over to Devi now. Do you want to share your screen, Devi?
Yeah, thanks, Naveen. Let me start sharing the screen. Can everyone see my screen?
I can't see it yet. Now I can.
I can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so let's see debugging. So we first discuss why debugging is important. So let's say you're running a project, you have completed development and you're running the project in Studio or you are running it through Orchestrator. You could face various errors, like the output might not be in matching with the expected value, or there could be some flow of execution which follows a different path, or it's not validating any business rules. So in such situations, debugging plays a major role to identify the place where you have to fix the code. So what you can do is you can add breakpoints to activities where you want to pass the execution and inspect the values of variables, arguments, and also expressions during its run. So there are multiple actions available in Studio to support this debugging process. The step into. So this plays a major role if you want to execute one activity at a time. And what it will do is it will open the activity and highlight them. And while doing so, you can also monitor the or analyze the values of variables and arguments in different panels provided by the UiPath. I can show those panels in the next slide. And step over would helps to skip analysis of larger containers, and it will execute those steps, but it will not open each one of them within the larger container. And step out will helps to pass the execution at the current container level. So these are helpful when moving between one activity to next activity. And in case of exception, let's say you are running you are debugging the workflow and you see that there is an exception in an activity. And if you want to retry it, you can make use of retry button. So on clicking on it, the same activity will get retried and you can monitor the values of variables and properties of the activities to figure out the reason for the error. Or if you want to ignore that exception and move on to the next activity, then you can click on the ignore button. But if you want to restart that container itself, then you can click on restart button so that the execution will restart from the parent container. And apart from these, there is also a slow step option provided by UiPath. So it comes with 4 different speeds. So by controlling this, you can provide enough time taken by the debugger to move between activities. And that helps you to look into the variables and arguments while execution. And when we talk about panels, there are multiple panels provided by UiPath to help you with figuring out this debugging things. So local span, you can inspect the values of variables and arguments, and you can also see its properties of the current activity. And you can also modify the values of variables and arguments if it is if it supports or if it is in the current scope. And we have watch panel where you can set the variables and arguments or user defined expressions beforehand, and you can watch them how they behave when you are debugging the whole workflow. And we have immediate panel where you could check the variables, values and expressions during debugging process. Also, this would maintain the history of previous statement as well. And you can always go back and refer to what we have checked previously. And if you want to modify the variable values, you can also do so by providing expressions in the immediate panel. So these panels would help you to debug and figure out values of properties, variables, and arguments, and fine tune your workflow logic accordingly. Error and exception handling. So when your project could sometimes end up in exceptions for multiple reasons. For example, there could be change in selector when you're running in production, or the resources that you are provided as input is not accessible during its run, or the input data is in different format. And during such cases, you would face exceptions, and these exceptions will terminate the run unless it is handled properly. So UiPath provides try-catch activity to handle those exceptions gracefully. So it contains three blocks, try block, catches block, and then finally block. So you could place the activities that you expect to throw exception inside the try block, and within the catch block, you can specify one or more exception types that you want to capture and provide the steps that you want to follow in case of exception. For example, you could log the exception message with the log level as error, or you can even notify someone. If you want to notify someone, you can place an email trigger activity so that in case of exception, it will notify the person. Or you could even place some alternate activities that you want to follow in case of exception. And the finally block will get executed if there is no unhandled exceptions. For example, if you want to kill the process that is still running, then you can place it in the finally block. So there could be scenarios in your project where you want to throw exception in case of failing business rules. So in such cases, this throw activity would help you out, where you can throw a new business rule exception with the message inside the double quotes. So in general, exception in a project can be broadly classified into two types, either application or system exception, and then a business exception. So business exceptions are missing business rules where you do not want to continue the execution of the workflow for that particular transaction further. So to do so, you can always use this throw activity so that you could throw the business rule exception so that it will not continue further execution of these steps. And then we have a rethrow activity where you could place it inside the catch block so that it will throw the exception to the parent container. So for example, if you have handled the exception within the catch block and you have a reason that it should be thrown to the parent container, then you can use the rethrow activity so that the exception would flow to the parent container. Retry scope. So to talk about retry scope, this would retry the execution of activities placed inside it until it faces an error or until the condition is met. Say, for example, you are downloading a file and you see there are chances that it may not be successful in the first attempt. So in such scenario, you would want to use retry scope to check whether the file is ready to be downloaded or it is downloaded. And you can mention the condition in the condition block. And this condition block can have common activities like check app state, file exist, or find element, or check true or check false. So any Boolean value, any activities that provide Boolean value can be placed within the condition block. And this retry attempt would happen at specific interval of time, which is mentioned in the retry interval property. And you can also define the number of attempts that it should make in the number of attempts property. So by making use of this, your activity will not throw exception at the first attempt. Instead, it will retry for the number of times mentioned here and also at regular specific interval. Moving on to email automation. So UiPath provides various built-in connectors to work with applications like Google Drive, Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, and other applications by means of integration service. And once you establish connection to them in integration service, it can be used in different places across the same project, or even it can be shared with multiple projects as well. So there are multiple email providers. For example, you can use Gmail or you can use Microsoft Outlook. And there are also SMTP, IMAP activities available for working with email automations. So shown here are some sample email automations, email activities that we commonly work for Gmail. So the get email list would provide you a list of emails based on the filter conditions that you have provided in the additional filter criteria. And you can also mention any specific folder that you want to look for. So by means of it, you could get a list of email messages in the output. And for each email, we'll loop through each of the email in the mentioned folder. And here also you can provide filter condition, and that would provide you only the emails that satisfy that particular condition. And you can use any email reading activity or manipulation of emails like downloading attachments. You can do such things within the for each email container. And for sending out email, there is a send email activity where you can provide the to address, subject, body of the email, and attachment, and by which you can send email to the required person. And we do have a reply email activity to reply to the current email that is in your email folder, and with the customized body. And you can even have options whether to reply all to the person or to only the specific person. And you can also save it as draft as needed. So these are some common email automations with email activities with Gmail, but there are also other activities, and you can go through the documentations available in UiPath to work on those. And then we are moving on local files and folders. So there are multiple activities available to work with local files and folders, and some common actions like creating a file or folder, deleting file or folder, moving files, copying files, and renaming files. So all these are available at the file level as well as at the folder level with UiPath. Shown here are some examples. So with create folder activity, you could provide the path where you want to create folder, and that would place the folder in the local. And then get file info would get you the information of the file uh, with all its properties, like starting from created date, size of the file, when was it last modified, full name, and name of the file. So you can get all those information of the file with this single activity. And with the delete file activity, providing the full path, it would delete the file in that particular path. So these are some sample activities that are shown here to work with local files and folders. Now, UiPath doesn't stop working with only local folders. You can also work with online applications like Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, or SharePoint to manage those online files and folders. So these are some sample activities shown here to work with Google Drive. So as I mentioned earlier, once you establish connection, integration service with with the Google Drive option, then you can use that to work along with online files in Google Drive. So shown here is a get files or folder activity where it will list the files and folders in a particular location within your Google Drive. And there are also other filter options available within the additional properties. You can make use of it to filter out or to get only the required files and folders. And with the download file activity, you can even download the file and have it in a file variable, and you can use it within the workflow when you are working on a project. And the delete file would delete the file in the particular path. And here I have used the first item in the list of files or folders that is provided by the get file folder activity as the property. So what it will do is it will uh, delete the first file which it got it from the previous list of files. And this permanently delete true would make it delete without retrieving it back. And you can also create folder in the drive by providing the folder name. And if a folder already exists, you can also provide option whether to add it as a separate file or you can overwrite the same. And so these are some common activities that you can use to work with Google Files and folders. Next, we're coming to version control integration. So with UiPath, we have integration to source control systems like Git, SVN, and TFS. So to enable connection, first you have to navigate to the Studio backstage, click on Tools and Plugins, and then within the source control plugin, you have to enable the corresponding source control that you want to work on. So once you enable the button, you can navigate again to the backstage and see there is a Teams tab. And within the Team tab, you could see the list of actions supported for that version control would be shown there. So for here, I have enabled Git, and you see the list of Git actions getting enabled in the Team tab. With the clone repository, you can clone any Git repository to your local. And if you have an existing local repository and you want to copy the current project to that existing repository, you can use copy to Git. And to add the current project to a Git repository, then you can use Git init. So once you click on Git init, and it will show you the path. It will ask you to select the path. So you can select the folder path where your project is residing. And it will then have options whether to commit and push or to commit. So you can also provide a commit message. As you see here, I'm just providing the commit message as initial code. And towards the left side, you see the project is not having any Git integration yet. And on doing commit and push, on clicking commit and push, you are pushing the repository to your remote. And while doing so, it might ask you to establish connection with your remote Git repository. And once you authenticate that, then you would see that all your project files will get integrated to the version control. And that would be shown by this icon with this black icon. And once you start working on any file, you could see the pencil icon here as mentioned. So this shows that there are some changes made locally, but it is not pushed to the repository. So to push that, you have to click on commit button again, and then that will push to the repository. And there are also other options provided while right-clicking in workflow file. So you see the commit at the first one, which we already saw, and pushing will push the changes to the remote repository. Pull and rebase is something we use to sync your local repository from the remote. For example, when you are working on the repository, there are chances that multiple people are working and managing the same project. So in such cases, there are chances that your local repository could be out of sync from the remote. So to sync that, you have to use pull rebase, and that would make sure that your local repository gets synced with the remote. And there are show changes, so you can right click on the file, and clicking on show changes will show the changes happened between the previous commit and to your local. So you could see the change in line or any property value shown in the screen. With show history, you can see the history of commits made for that particular workflow file. And if you want to undo the changes, particular change that you last made uh, before the last commit, then you can click on undo to make sure that you revert back to the previous commit. And there are also options where you can manage branches. You can create multiple branches, and you can push your code to the respective branch that you want to work. And copy repository URL helps you to copy the URL and work on it. So these are some options available to work with a version control system. And that's all from me for now. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Devi. I think we are open for questions if you have any.
Yeah, Jose, did you see anything in the chat that you think needs to be answered? Jose, you there? There is one question that says, is there any option to perform cherry pick from Studio?
Sorry, what is it, Diana?
Is there any option to perform a cherry pick from Studio?
I think they are talking about the studio version that they can install anything. Is that right? Yes, I think there is an option for installing older studio versions also, if that is something that you're looking for.
Yeah, and you can take yourself off mute if you need any clarity on the answers. And then this is kind of a statement. There was one more activity called filter DT. And I think this is a question. Is there a difference between the split and substring in data manipulation?
You can use both of them, whatever suits for your purpose. Mostly it depends on how accurately you are looking for your data. So generally, I myself will be using substrings, but you can use split also. But split sometimes might not be effective every time. So in that case, we tend towards using substrings.
Yeah, split will give you output as array of strings. Say, for example, if you have a comma separated string and you want to split it as array of multiple strings, then you can use split. Where substring could help you retrieve portion of the string, and you can use that further.
Great. And then there's a question for me. It's after completing this training session, we can expect a free voucher. So what you can expect after you complete all the training is a training credential, and that is given by UiPath. So that's the first thing you would get. And then when we get to the end of the sessions, like sessions 7 and 8, I'll be going through you a program where you can apply to get a free certification through all these certification uh, programs that we are running. So that is free, and yes, you can join it. And I'll be going through that again in about 3 weeks for you guys. So the important thing now is really to stick with your self-paced training, make sure you're keeping up with that. And then, you need to complete all of that in order to get your training credential, which is the important thing that these courses focus on. And then I also want to make sure that you guys, you had a lot of homework to do today. So if anybody had any questions, these guys are experts. So please ask, did you have any problems? Is there something you still don't understand? I mean, that's why we're here, is to answer those kind of questions. And you can always put them in the chat if you don't feel like speaking up, or you can put them in the forum later. But this is a huge opportunity. You still have about 10 more minutes that you guys can ask anything you want about Studio. Again, these guys know this inside and out, so please ask if you have any questions.
Awesome. Yeah. Please feel free to reach to us in any channel. LinkedIn is the most active ones which will be available, but feel free to email us through community as well.
Yeah. So with that, I don't think there's any questions right now. Naveen and Debbie, thank you so much for presenting today. And Ravathi and Jose, thank you for asking and putting things in the chat. We are looking forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday of this week. So please do make sure you register for that. And we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Thanks, Diana.
There is one more question if you're still on, Naveen. Or Debbie, are you on?
Yes, Diana.
Okay. Do you need any code language for UiPath activity?
So basically, with UiPath, right, you don't need extensive coding knowledge. You can use with the existing studio itself. And but if you know coding, then you can also use coded automation available within UiPath.
Okay, great. And then may you know which certification voucher we will get it from the series. No, you will not get any vouchers from the series. At the end, in 3 weeks, I will be talking about how you can get a certification voucher, but that isn't part of this program. I will refer you to a program where you can get that. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to end it there, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Thank you.